Welcome back. If you're one of the dozen or so people who subscribe to my channel, you probably have noticed that my channel changed names. I've been going as One Car Garage for years, but that just wasn't really appropriate anymore because I moved. Back in the beginning of 2020, I moved to a new house in a new neighborhood, and I no longer had a one-car garage. I had a three-car, and I thought about naming it Three-Car Garage, but that didn't make a whole lot of sense either because, you see, I had plans, and it's time for me to take you on a little walk and show you what I've been doing. So, I would like to be the first to welcome you to my big green shop. Here it is. I've been working through most of 2020 to get this thing built, finished out inside, and at this point I'm mostly done. So let's take a tour. First thing is this walkway I've put in. I wanted to be able to walk barefoot from the house to the shop, not go through mud. And yeah, this fits that bill. Coming on in, you can see that I've already started the process of making a huge mess in here. That's probably about $3,000 worth of plywood right there, given current market value. There's my CNC Mustang, and the centerpiece of the whole shop is this 7,000 pound or so rotary lift that I picked up. And anyway, let's take the full tour. So as you walk in, here's the door we just came in, and on the left side we've got a couple of basic wire racks, bunch of storage. I find the cat litter tubs are extremely useful. I'm constantly looking for new things to store in these tubs. New categories just tend to create themselves as I discover I have a large amount of a certain type of thing. And if you look on the other side of the door, I have even more. In fact, the biggest problem I have right now is the cats don't empty these tubs fast enough. Over here in the corner, I've also got a laptop and a stereo. Couple of little bitty bookshelf speakers on either side of the roll-up door. You know, I'm not looking for incredible sound quality, I just want some music. The whole shop is insulated with expanding foam, or spray foam, sorry, closed cell, and then it's got this gray layer on top, which is a thermal coating. It's called No Burn, keeps things from catching fire, which is very good if there's a lot of welding sparks going on. Normally there's a steel work table right here. Currently it's holding up that plywood. Anyway, that is my main workbench, just a big steel top, normally has a vise on it. That's the bench for beating on things and generally getting violent with stuff. Then next over, got my roll around tool cart, which is currently a train wreck. I'll clean that up later. Then my old workbench. This one used to be my only bench, and it was doing multiple duties. It had this nice wooden top for delicate stuff, but it also had the storage bins, which were kind of a problem because when I had things on the bench, it was hard to get into the storage bins, especially the bottom couple layers of drawers. And then I had my vise on this bench too, so you can imagine I'm trying to beat on things on this bench, and the storage bins are shaking around. The whole thing got very cluttered. So now this is more of a general purpose bench, storage and whatnot. Next we've got the wet bench. Same design as the first one that you couldn't see, except that this one has a sloping top and there is a gutter at the back. So what this is great for is anything that's going to spill liquids. If you're going to crack open a transmission or an engine, you do it here. All the liquid just flows down into that gutter in the back, and then it comes down through that pipe and just drains down into this bucket here. About as simple as can be. I saw this on Precision Transmissions videos. They had a larger version, and I thought it was just brilliant. And I built one, and it's been worth it. If you have room for a wet bench, I highly recommend it. Pretty basic Harbor Freight parts washer with some modifications. Got my utility sink, breaker panel, mini fridge for shrinking bearings and keeping drinks cool. And then my CNC mill finally has some actual room around it. It's not just crammed into a corner anymore. It's going to be nice to be able to use this again. This is a Tormac personal CNC 1100 Series 2, and it does have the automatic tool changer. Very, very nice piece of equipment. Continuing on around the wall, got an air compressor. I bought this one used at an industrial auction, and the only real problem with it was that this contactor had gone bad. It would actually stick on. So just replaced that, and it's good as new. Got it for a little bit less than the cost of a new one, and it also came with this nice little desiccant dryer here, which, as far as I can tell, has just never been used. It looks brand new, super clean, works fine. I don't normally run that, but if I ever want to get into painting anything, that's going to be extremely useful. Up here, I've got a Minisplit. This is a kind of a nice story. I was actually given this by a family member of a friend. I had planned to just put a normal house split system in here, but I was given this thing which gives me heat and cooling and a dehumidify mode, which is extremely useful if I want to close the shop down for a couple weeks because I will be out of town and I don't want to spend the electricity to air condition the place, but I do want to control humidity. So that's extremely useful, and of course, being given a mini split, even a used one, is just an incredible thing. So I was blown away by the kindness of the fellow who gave this to me. Moving on, I've got a basic drill press with a couple of vices on it. My oil change funnel. The minute you get a lift, you got to start thinking about making all your funnels and jacks and whatnot able to reach up high. Got my 2 bench grinders. This dual height arrangement was something that I came up with at the old shop. I was limited for space, and I thought this would be a good idea. Turns out it's not a good idea. The way it works out is you have one grinder that is a little bit too low to be comfortable to work with, and it's sort of hard to get to from all angles. And then the upper grinder is basically right at face height, so it's really good for throwing chips at your face. Yeah, don't recommend that. Welder station. I've got my nice Dynasty 210 TIG welder here. Love this machine. And then there's also a Harbor Freight MIG welder that normally sits right there. It's currently pulled out. My welding clamping table. It's also a mess right now, but you can see I've got a grid of holes. I think they're on about 2-inch centers. And each one has a nut welded on the back, so they will work with my half-inch clamping kit. Got my acetylene system, which I have conveniently placed right next to a large pile of flammable objects. That's no problem. I've got an exit door here. I put this in simply because I didn't like the, I thought it was necessary for safety. If you turn around and look at the rest of the shop, you can see that there's the 2 ways in and out. The door we came in and the roll-up. Now, if there's a fire in that corner or on the lift, it would be very easy to block access to both of those, and you would wind up trapped where I'm standing with no way out. So I thought it was beneficial to add a second door, just in case. All right, got material storage here. These are mostly 4x8 sheets of plywood and other materials. When I was putting the outlets along this wall, I set the outlet boxes so that they would be over 4 feet off the ground, which means that I can have plywood sheets stored underneath and not block the outlets. I recommend doing that. My last workbench here, this is what I call my precision bench. This is actually just old countertop that I was given. It's off of somebody's kitchen island. They didn't like the color, can't blame them. But it's smooth, it's flat. Now, it's no fixture plate, it's no surface plate, but it's pretty good for doing some basic setup. This whole table currently is just a basic metal frame. but I plan to add shelves, roll-out drawers to it later on, and everything that's currently in these 2 red boxes will go in the drawers. That's a long-term project. I've got some extra countertop left over that I need to get rid of. Don't really have a purpose for it. Moving on around, got the engine hoist. 1 air hose reel here. Now this is mounted to one of the main supports for the building. I didn't want to go drilling holes in this, so instead I came up with a clamping system. The hose reel bolts to this front aluminum plate, and then if we can get below, you can see that there are rear plates that just sort of squeeze on and clamp this into place. This means I can remove this easily, I can adjust the height, and that works great. I have another one of these that I will be mounting to the other side eventually. Speaking of things on reels, I also have a couple of these cord reels up on the ceiling. This is a Reelcraft brand. Now, a lot of people make these, but I really like the Reelcraft for this one feature. The circuit breaker is on the cord end. Every single one of these is required to have a circuit breaker, but most of them, they put it up there because it's easier. Except that that is about 10 feet in the air, so if you need to reset this breaker, yeah, good luck. This one's accessible. Come on. There we go. So I have 2 of those, and most of the time when I need an extension cord, that's what I reach for. Got UFO lights on the ceiling, and those are dimmable, so I can go from extremely glare bright to kind of a nice even lighting level, depending on the work I'm doing. Got my mini lathe here, currently getting some electronics repair done on it. I'm sad to say that when I was moving it, I dropped it a bit, and that seemed to have killed the old motor controller. Got a new one that I'm working on setting up. It functions, but I haven't got it to work with the Gecko drive yet. So right now I still have manual spindle control. Get around to fixing that. And then I added some tire changing equipment. Basic stuff off of eBay. It's all import, but it works fine. If you get one of these balancers, do some looking around on YouTube. There's a fella who I will try to link below, who did a great video on how to set this up and calibrate it. The key elements are that it needs to be bolted to the floor, and it needs to be shimmed so that this spindle is perfectly level. And then there's a calibration process that you use. Easiest to do that with just a spare wheel like this one. If you don't bolt it down and if you don't calibrate it, you're going to think that you have a big piece of junk. But once you take care of those 2 jobs, it works perfectly. And then the tire changer itself. You know, if you know from my videos, I do a lot of racing, I go through a lot of tires, and you know, it can cost about $20 per tire to get one mounted and balanced. So for me, this thing's going to pay for itself very quickly. Anyway, that's the end of the shop tour. All right, so thanks for watching. I'm looking forward to cranking out a lot more videos now that I've got this place to work. I've got a few things coming up. Of course, we've got this Mustang over here that needs some work. I'm also going to be getting back into the Miata, which I think I have never actually shown you. You've probably seen videos from onboard the car, but I don't think I've ever posted video of the actual car. So I hope to do a walk around of that soon. Lastly, I've bought an RV, a 1991 Sunseeker. So I will be doing a bunch of work on that. I've already completed a bunch and just I've got to sit down and edit the videos, which is possibly my least favorite job in the world. But I promise you I will get it done at some point. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.